Have you ever walked into a room, smiled, and felt like someone's entire world lit up, but you didn't even notice? Maybe there's someone out there whose heart beats just a little faster when you're around, but they've never said a word. Sometimes love doesn't announce itself with grand gestures. Instead, it whispers through the little things. Today, we're diving into something truly heartwarming: 7 sweet signs you've stolen someone's heart without even realizing it. Have you ever paused in the middle of an ordinary day, maybe while sipping your tea or walking through a quiet room, and felt this strange warmth settle in your chest? A feeling that someone somewhere is thinking about you with a tenderness you might not have even imagined. It's subtle like a ripple in still water, but it's real. That feeling arises not from logic, but from resonance, a silent connection where the heart leads and the mind tries to catch up. Now let's travel inward. Think of a time when you shared something small about yourself, a favorite flower, the name of your childhood pet, a song that brings you to tears. Most people forget these little things, but once in a while someone remembers, not because they try to, but because their nervous system locks it in. They weren't memorizing it like a student for an exam. It's deeper than that. It's because in that moment something about you imprinted itself into their emotional memory. Without knowing it, they filed your words, your quirks, your preferences into a sacred corner of their being, because to them, every detail of you matters. This is not just poetic talk. Science tells us that when we emotionally bond with someone, our brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, neurochemicals responsible for pleasure, trust, and connection. That's why when someone lights up at the mention of your favorite dish or recalls your birthday without a reminder, it isn't just good manners, it's chemistry. It's the body responding to the heart's truth. Now imagine this: someone remembers that you don't like your coffee too strong, that you adore stargazing, that you once cried watching a documentary about elephants. They mention these things casually, but in those simple acknowledgments lies something profound. They're tuned into your frequency. They've been listening not just with their ears, but with their soul. And that kind of attention doesn't come from obligation. It emerges from love, quiet, soft, maybe unspoken, but deeply alive. And what about those times you walk into a room full of people and without meaning to, your eyes meet someone else's, not in a dramatic, cinematic way? No thunderclap, no violins, just a glance that lingers a moment longer than it should, a moment that feels like stillness and motion. Their eyes seek you, even in a crowded space. Their attention magnetically drifts to where you are. That's not accident, that's alignment. This phenomenon is rooted in a part of our brain called the reticular activating system, RAS. The RAS filters the massive amount of sensory information we receive every moment and highlights what is emotionally significant to us. When someone has feelings for you, their brain quite literally tags you as important. That's why they notice when you walk in. That's why their eyes search for yours, even when you're not trying to be seen. It's a silent form of gravity, the way they shift their body to face you, the way their energy changes the second you're near. It's a field interaction, your emotional energy blending with theirs. Joe Dispenza teaches us that we are electromagnetic beings. Our hearts emit fields that extend several feet beyond our physical bodies. So when two people connect on a deep emotional level, their fields interact before words are even spoken. That's why you feel drawn to someone's presence. That's why you can feel watched or thought of or missed without any visible signs. It's not fantasy, it's frequency. You've probably experienced it too. You're speaking to someone else, but you feel a pair of eyes on you. You glance across the room, and catch a look that vanishes the second your eyes meet. Maybe they smile nervously or pretend to look away, but for a split second you felt it, that silent admiration, that pull, that unguarded truth. This isn't about romantic cliches. This is about presence. When someone is present with you, they're not scrolling through their thoughts. They're not calculating their responses. They're there, attuned, engaged, noticing things about you that even you forget. The way you press your lips when you're deep in thought, the way your voice changes when you speak about someone you love, the subtle way your eyes darken when something hurts. When we connect on this level, we begin to rewrite emotional patterns from the past. We begin to attract new experiences that match the frequency of our heart's desires. That's the beauty of becoming aware of the love that might already be blooming around you. You don't have to chase, you only have to open yourself to noticing it. And here's something profound. Most people who fall for you silently aren't doing it out of need, they're doing it out of inspiration. Something about you, your strength, your kindness, your laughter, woke something in them that had been dormant. You reminded them of hope, of beauty, of tenderness, and so they watch, they remember, they feel, and they fall. You may never hear them say it, but you will feel it in their gaze, in their gestures, in the way your name softens their voice. These are not accidents. These are the quiet manifestations of love, trying to find form. So next time someone remembers something small about you, or their eyes find you even in silence, don't brush it off. These are sacred signs, echoes of a heart that has already made a home for you. All you have to do is become aware of the love that is already circling you, and maybe, just maybe, be brave enough to feel it back. There is something miraculous that happens when two souls begin to tune into each other. It's not always dramatic or loud. Sometimes it begins in the most unnoticeable of ways. A quiet shift, small movement, a glance, a laugh, and then something even deeper begins, mirroring the fascinating phenomenon where one person unconsciously reflects the posture, expressions, or even the mood of another. It may look like mimicry from the outside, but what's truly happening beneath the surface is something sacred. It's connection being born without words. A kind of emotional resonance where your very being becomes their compass. This mirroring isn't a behavior they practice. It isn't something they plan or execute. It emerges spontaneously from the subconscious, a field level interaction between two energies that are synchronizing. Psychology gives it a name. Neurobiology can study it, but at its core, it's soul work. You laugh, they laugh. You lean in, they lean in. You cross your arms, so do they. These subtle echoes are signs that their system is trying to harmonize with yours. And why? Because somewhere within them, there's a knowing, a silent longing to align with your presence. When we experience this kind of mirroring, we must understand what it signifies beyond behavior. It is a reflection of attunement. They are attuned to your emotional state, your movements, your expressions, because your presence has become emotionally significant to them. In quantum terms, you are now a meaningful variable in their field of awareness. They are no longer reacting to the world at large. They are responding to you. Imagine someone sitting beside you, and without even realizing it, they begin to match your breathing rhythm. They speak at your pace. Their laughter feels synchronized with yours, like an old rhythm they somehow always knew. It's not about copying. It's about being pulled into the orbit of your energy. And you feel it too, not in the mind, but in the body. You feel their closeness in ways you can't explain. That's entrainment. That's heart sinking beyond the realm of spoken connection. Joe Dispenza often speaks about coherence, when the brain and the heart align in a state of harmony. When someone mirrors you unconsciously, it's because something in their inner world wants to align with yours. Your energy brings them into coherence. Your presence regulates their nervous system. You may not know the weight of your influence, but in their field you are the calm in the storm. Now step into another scene, more tender, more raw. You notice someone growing shy around you. Maybe they're usually confident, relaxed, articulate, but in your presence something shifts. Their hands fidget, their sentences wander, their voice trembles, just slightly. They stumble over words they'd normally say with ease. Why does this happen? Because love humbles us. Real affection makes us vulnerable. When someone is emotionally affected by your presence, their system becomes overwhelmed with emotional data they don't quite know how to regulate. This is not awkwardness born from discomfort. It's vulnerability born from reverence. They are not afraid of you. They are in awe of you. And awe, when unspoken, becomes nervousness. Their body is speaking what their lips cannot. You matter to me more than I'm ready to admit. Let's bring in the science of when a person feels romantic emotions, their amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, fires up. Their body releases adrenaline. Their heart rate increases. The parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems begin to conflict. Their desire to remain composed clashes with their body's involuntary response to being near you. That's why their voice shakes. That's why they laugh at things that aren't funny. That's why they avoid eye contact or hold it too long. It's the body surrendering to the heart. What's more beautiful is that this kind of reaction often comes from someone who doesn't even know they're in love yet. Their behavior exposes the truth before their consciousness can accept it. That's the magic of the subconscious. It tells the truth even when we. You see, love doesn't always arrive as confidence. It often comes cloaked in hesitation, in doubt, in silence, not because it lacks strength, but because it respects the magnitude of the moment. When someone falls for you deeply, they aren't thinking about how to impress you. They are consumed by how not to disappoint you. That fear, that flutter, that trembling isn't weakness. It's sacred vulnerability. And we must hold that gently. Because somewhere beneath that nervous energy is a heart that sees something rare in you. A soul that recognizes a possibility it has, perhaps never felt before, a future it's afraid to name. And it's okay if they fumble. It's okay if they're awkward. It only means their feelings are real. Now combine these two phenomena, mirroring and nervousness, and what you get is emotional immersion. You've entered their field so completely that their body, mind, and emotions are now trying to make sense of it. They're drawn to you, influenced by you, elevated by you. And the most profound truth is, you may have done nothing consciously to cause it, just by being you, just by embodying your essence fully, unapologetically. You've become a mirror to their soul's longing. This is the power of unseen love, not the love declared in poems or shouted from rooftops, but the love whispered in gestures, seen in subtle shifts, expressed in eye contact, in posture,
in a laugh that lingers longer than necessary. It is the sacred language of the subconscious, a dance of energy and emotion that we're only just beginning to understand. In the quantum field, everything exists as potential. When you walk through life in authenticity, when your heart remains open, you become a magnet for those still trying to remember who they are. They feel that in you. They feel safe in your presence, yet exposed, and so they mirror. They stumble. They glow. And slowly, love grows, not because it was invited, but because it was inevitable. You were never ordinary to them. You were the key their soul had been searching for. And even if they don't know how to say it, their body has already begun to speak.
There is a sacred pull in this universe, an invisible thread that tugs at the soul when it finds a source of light. You felt it before. That yearning to be close to someone, not just because of how they look or what they say, but because of how your energy responds to theirs. It is beyond physical desire or casual curiosity. It is the body, mind, and heart aligning in a way that feels destined. So when someone keeps finding reasons to be around you, when their presence becomes a pattern, not a coincidence, it's time to look deeper. Because we are energetic beings first and foremost, and energy never lies. People who have been emotionally touched by you may not always have the courage to express it directly, but their soul will speak for them through movement, through presence, through the magnetism of their behavior. They will show up in the same places you go, not to chase you, but because something within them feels more whole in your vicinity. Their field expands in your presence. They feel seen without being judged. That's why they linger. That's why they just happen to drop by. Because the body is drawn to healing frequencies. And if your energy holds truth, compassion, authenticity, they are not just attracted to you, they are being recalibrated by you. Science has long proven that the heart generates a powerful electromagnetic field that radiates several feet outside of our body. When two people interact, their heart fields begin to communicate long before a word is spoken. This is what happens when someone enters a room and suddenly the entire vibration changes. You don't see it, but you feel it, and they feel it around you. That's why they find excuses to be near, because your presence changes their frequency. You elevate them, often without knowing, and once the body has experienced coherence, once the mind has tasted peace, it will search for that frequency again and again. Their reasons may seem mundane, a casual question, a need for help, a borrowed item, but the undercurrent is emotional, spiritual. It is their soul looking for resonance. Proximity to you doesn't feel like chance. It feels like home. And when people feel that, they return to it again and again, not to possess it, but to remember themselves through it. Now look closer. When they're near you, are they present? Do they notice the little things, the things you don't say? This leads to something even deeper, because showing up is one thing, but showing care is another. Genuine care, the kind that notices the slight pause in your voice, the look in your eyes when you're pretending to be fine, the energy in your presence when something's off. That kind of awareness doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the heart. And when someone begins to notice and respond to your unspoken emotions,
You are no longer just a part of their life. You've become part of their emotional world. We live in a society that praises productivity and speed, but true love slows us down. It invites us to listen differently, to sense more, to feel deep. When someone starts to genuinely worry about your well being, not in a dramatic way, but with quiet, steady presence, it's a sign that your emotions matter to them. It's a sign that their nervous system is now attuned to yours. This is not the kind of concern that checks in out of politeness. This is the kind of concern that says, I felt you weren't okay and I couldn't ignore it. From a neuroscientific perspective, the anterior cingulate cortex, the region of the brain associated with empathy, activates when we deeply care about someone. Empathy creates a bridge between our internal state and another's. So when they text you at the exact moment you needed to hear from someone, or they bring you something that soothes your spirit, they're not just being thoughtful, they are emotionally in sync with you. Their energy has moved into your field. They're no longer just an observer of your life. They're participating in your emotional journey. And maybe they don't even know why they care so much. Maybe they're confused by it. But the soul always knows before the mind. Emotional presence isn't something we learn, it's something we remember. When we find someone whose essence speaks to our own, we don't need training. We respond from the core, and their concern for you is not rooted in obligation, it's rooted in connection. In the invisible dialogue between hearts that haven't fully spoken their truth yet, but feel it in every shared silence. This is where true love begins, in showing up, in staying, in noticing, in remembering, in choosing to be near, not because it's required, but because it feels right. These are not grand declarations of passion. These are the quiet alignments of energy that say, you matter to me in ways I cannot yet explain. We are all made of energy. The stories we carry, the trauma we heal, the joy we emit, it all lives in our field. And when someone begins to care for your emotional state as if it were their own, it's because their field is merging with yours. This is coherence. This is connection at the quantum level. You don't have to speak it. You don't have to name it. You just have to feel it and trust it. Because when someone keeps showing up, when someone's concern feels deeper than it should be, it's because somewhere inside them, they've already chosen you, not out of desperation, not out of fantasy, but out of deep soul level recognition. They saw something in you that made their system whisper, stay close to this. This is peace. This is home.
There comes a moment when you start to feel something shifting, not in the words being spoken, but in the silence between them. It's in the way someone looks at you, how their gaze holds just a second too long, how it softens when you speak, as if they're listening not just with their ears, but with every cell of their body. That's not just attention, that's reverence. It's a quiet surrender, an unspoken confession of the heart. When someone looks at you and their eyes linger, it's not merely because you're beautiful or captivating, though you may be. It's because they've stopped seeing you with their mind and started feeling you with their heart. They're no longer processing your words, they're absorbing your energy. Their gaze becomes a meditation, a moment of stillness in the chaos of life where nothing else exists except you. That look, the one that holds a kind of ache behind it, is the body's way of expressing what the lips are afraid to say. I feel something here. I don't understand it, but it's real. And when we understand the human energy field,
we begin to realize that this gaze is not just an act of affection, it is an energetic transaction. Your heart has an electromagnetic field that speaks before your voice does. When their eyes soften around you, when their expression changes, it's because they're responding to the vibration of your presence. It is their body entering coherence in response to your frequency. In that moment, time dissolves, thought stops, emotion rises. That is presence, that is connection, that is the language of the soul. You felt this before, haven't you? That strange flutter in your chest when someone looks at you like you're the only real thing in the world. It's because in that moment, you are, to them, you've become their center of gravity. And sometimes they don't even know why. They just feel pulled gently, consistently towards you. Their glances are shy at first, maybe stolen in between conversations, but over time, they become more grounded, more open, more willing to be seen in their act of seeing you. We are taught that love needs to be spoken, declared, proven, but often love reveals itself most honestly through the eyes, not in dramatic stares, but in the stillness, in the kind of gaze that says, I see you, all of you, and I'm not afraid of what I see. In fact, it moves me. That kind of seeing is rare. It comes not from desire, but from recognition. Their soul sees a mirror in yours, their past, their future, their hope, their longing. It all finds a resting place in your presence. And when this begins to happen, the heart does something extraordinary. It starts to open, slowly at first, cautiously, because the heart has been broken before. But the more you show up in your truth, the more they feel safe to feel. And then something even more sacred happens. They begin to support your dreams, even when you don't ask them to. This is not about casual compliments or vague encouragement. This is about someone who sees your soul's mission before you fully understand it yourself. They hear your passing words, the ones you mutter when you think no one's listening, your doubts, your visions, your quiet hopes, and they hold them like treasures. They remember the things you forget about yourself. They remind you of your light when all you see is your shadow. That kind of support doesn't come from infatuation. It comes from love in its most spiritual form. They are not just cheering you on. They are standing in energetic agreement with your becoming. They believe in your expansion. They want you to rise, not so they can possess you, but because your rising gives them purpose, because your growth touches something divine in them. When someone begins to support your goals, your ideas, your evolution, they are spiritually investing in your future, and you can feel the difference. Their support feels like fuel. You speak your idea, and instead of shrinking it, they enlarge it. You whisper a doubt, and they speak life back into you. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual alignment. And what's even more beautiful is when they support the small things, the dreams that don't make sense yet, the hobbies that are still fragile, the parts of you that are still healing. Their encouragement isn't performance, it's presence, it's loyalty and energy form. They are already imagining your success, visualizing your peace, feeling your fulfillment, as if it's their own. Why? Because your joy is becoming intertwined with theirs. Neuroscience tells us that when we deeply care for someone, our mirror neurons light up in response to their experiences. Their joy becomes our joy. Their pain becomes our pain. When someone supports your dreams without needing to benefit from them, that's evidence of those neural pathways linking emotionally. They are not thinking, they are feeling. They are emotionally bonded to your purpose. In a world that so often teaches us to compete, to isolate, to look out for ourselves, finding someone who supports your growth without condition is rare. And when it happens without you asking, when they begin to plant seeds in your garden just because they want to see you bloom, you are no longer dealing with surface level affection. You are witnessing love in its rawest, most expansive form. You've entered a vibrational relationship, a field of shared intention, where their energy contributes to your evolution, where their presence nourishes your becoming. And here's the truth. You don't have to do anything grand to deserve it. Just being authentically you, just showing up in your light, was enough to open their heart. So when their eyes linger with gentleness, when their words begin to nurture your future, know this: you have touched something in them that they didn't know was waiting to be awakened. And they may not say it out loud. They may still be figuring out what it all means. But their energy has already chosen you, not from a place of needing to possess, but from a space of wanting to witness your growth, your beauty, your unfolding. This is where love begins, not in grand gestures, but in consistent energy, in the gaze that sees without judging, in the encouragement that builds without expecting, in the soul that shows up over and over, simply because it wants to. Have any of these signs reminded you of someone, maybe a close friend, a neighbor, or a companion, who always seems to be right there? If so, you might have already stolen a heart without knowing it. Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories, and if this video made you smile, give it a like, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming insights and relationship wisdom. Your support means the world. What topics would you like me to talk about next? Love after loss, signs he's the one, how to rebuild trust. Drop your suggestions in the comment. Until next time, stay radiant, stay open-hearted, and remember, the best love stories often begin with just one smile. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a moment. New videos drop every week, because every heart deserves to be seen, heard, and deeply cherished.